प्रातः स्मरामि हृदि संस्फुरदात्मतत्त्वं सच्चित्सुखं परमहंसगतिं तुरीयं यत्स्वप्नजागरसुषुप्तमवैति नित्यं तद्ब्रह्म निष्कलमहं न च भूतसङ्गः तपोभिक्षीणपापानां शान्तानां वीतरागिणां मुमुक्षूणामपेक्षोऽयम् आत्मबोधो विधीयते बोधोऽन्यसाधनेभ्यो हि साक्षान्मोक्षैकसाधनम् पाकस्य वह्निवज्ञानं विना मोक्षो न सिद्ध्यति। We chant from verse number 18 to 22. Chapter 5, verse number 18 to verse number 22. विद्या विनय संपन्ने ब्राह्मणे गविहस्तिनि शुनिच्चैव श्वपाके च पंडिताः समदर्शिनः। विद्या विनय संपन्ने ब्राह्मणे गविहस्तिनि शुनिश्चैव श्वपाके च पंडिताः समदर्शिनः। इहैव तैर्जितः सर्गः येषां साम्ये स्थितं मनः निर्दोषं हि समं ब्रह्म तस्माद् ब्रह्मणि ते स्थिताः। इहैव तैर्जितः सर्गः येषां साम्ये स्थितं मनः निर्दोषं हि समं ब्रह्म तस्माद् ब्रह्मणि ते स्थिताः। न प्रहृष्येत् प्रियं प्राप्य नो द्विजेत् प्राप्य चाप्रियम् स्थिरबुद्धिरसम्मूढः ब्रह्मणि स्थितः। न प्रहृष्येत् प्रियं प्राप्य नो द्विजेत् प्राप्य चाप्रियम् स्थिरबुद्धिरसम्मूढः ब्रह्मणि स्थितः। बाह्यस्पर्शेष्वशक्तात्मा विन्दत्यात्मनि यत्सुखं स ब्रह्मयोगयुक्तात्मा सुखमक्षयमश्नुते। बाह्यस्पर्शेष्वशक्तात्मा विन्दत्यात्मनि यत्सुखं स ब्रह्मयोगयुक्तात्मा सुखमक्षयमश्नुते। ये हि संस्पर्शजा भोगाः दुःखयोनय एव ते आद्यन्तवन्तः कौन्तेय न तेषु रमते बुधः। ये हि संस्पर्शजा भोगाः दुःखयोनय एव ते आद्यन्तवन्तः कौन्तेय न तेषु रमते बुधः। Okay, we were discussing the state of no return that is gained by a jnani So, last couple of verses we've been talking about the descriptions and the state reached by the enlightened one, the aspiration that we all must hold, and it might seem slightly far fetched or slightly inaccessible, but that's the ultimate goal of our sadhana, to reach the state of a jnani. But before we continue, we'll take up any questions. So, are there any questions today? Anji Rashmi ji. Oh, can't mute, can't unmute. Hari Om, everyone.
Hari Om. Hari Om, everybody.
Okay.
My question is from the verse 17. It's written in the first paragraph. This verse speaks of the same state with reference to an enlightened person's past. So I do not understand why past.
Okay. So, with mind and intellect established in that, with that as the supreme goal, they whose sins have been destroyed, dispelled by knowledge, reach a state of no return. The preceding verse describes a state of human perfection, a state following the destruction of ignorance and realization of the Supreme Self. The preceding verse, which is verse number 16, it talked about those in whom ignorance is destroyed by knowledge, in them knowledge reveals like the sun, reveals the Supreme like the sun. So that verse describes a state of human perfection, that state of enlightenment, a state following the destruction of ignorance. This verse speaks of the same state. What is the same state? The same state of enlightenment with reference to an enlightened person's past, whereas the next two verses draw reference to his present and the future, right? So this verse is talking about the state of an enlightened person, or the state an enlightened person reaches, highlighting what path he has taken in the past to reach there. That's all it's saying. So, what is the path he has taken? He has established his mind and intellect in that truth. So, the work done in sadhana is to actually shift your focus and attention. That's all there is. That's the effort you have to put in. When you do that in sadhana, you grow. So, an enlightened person has grown as a result of this work done in the past by them. What is that? Focused with mind and intellect, established in that. You've plucked the mind from its preoccupations in the world and planted it upon that Tat, the Atman, self, spirit, whatever you want to call it, God. With that as the supreme goal. So, what have they done in the past? How have they become a jnani? At some point in the past, they have taken that firm vow. They have developed that firm conviction that enlightenment is the only supreme goal. Enlightenment is the supreme goal. It's the only goal worth pursuing. That's a realization and that's a conviction that they have developed at some point in the past that has brought them here. And as a result of that, the effort they put in, they have destroyed their sins with knowledge. So, having shifted their focus, their attention, having laid down with full conviction spiritual enlightenment as their goal, they have destroyed their sins gradually, little by little, with knowledge. So, this is all that they have done in the past to reach a state of no return. That's all he's saying. So, this verse is talking about his past. Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. Verse number 18. Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane Gavihastini Shuni Chaiva Shvapakecha Pandita Samadarshinaha. विद्या विनय संपन्ने ब्राह्मणे गविहस्तिनि शुनि चैव श्वपाके च पंडिता समदर्शिनः. Vidya, Vinaya, knowledge and humility. Vidya means knowledge, learning. Vinaya means humility. The wise view equally a Brahmana endowed with learning and humility, a cow, an elephant, a dog, Shuni, Hastini, Gavi, and an outcast, Shwapaka. So the wise view equally a Brahmana endowed with learning and humility, a cow, an elephant, a dog, and even an outcast. So he's continuing to talk about the state of being of an enlightened person. Like the portion we just highlighted. The previous verse, verse number 17, spoke about them with respect to their past. This verse will draw reference to how they are in the present, how they actually function. So this is a very important and very interesting thing worth highlighting. How do they perceive the world and how do they function in the world? So the wise, he's calling them the wise, Pandita. ढाई आखर प्रेम का पढ़े सो पंडित होए. One who has understood the essence of love, one who has understood the essence of the scriptural message. And it's not very long and convoluted, it's just 2.5 letters. One who has understood. So to be a pandit, you don't have to be well read and trained in, scores and scores of scriptures and be able to do incredible things. What does it take to be a pandit? So Sage Kabir says you just have to know the 2.5 letters of love, prem. You have to understand the essence of prem. This is another parallel verse. What does it take to be a pandit? You don't have to have read so much and done so much and walk around with certain kinds of robes and the number of beads you wear around your neck. No, you just have to have samadarshina. You have to have that capacity to see equally. So just as Kabir says, ढाई अक्षर प्रेम का पढ़े सो पंडित होए, here it says समदर्शिना होने से आप पंडित होते हो. It's parallel. What is samadarshina? To view equally a Brahmana, one who is not only socially regarded but actually in terms of their gunas, in terms of their qualities, a highly qualified individual. From the highest to the lowest, what one in a social context is of course considered an outcast. And look, we've said it before, today in the world, this idea of caste is, of course, it has been abused over generations and generations, and every time we mention it, I keep going back to it because it's important to do that. It's better to get done with, my personal opinion, it's better to get done with all of this stuff and restart, because some of these concepts and their interpretations have just absolutely no meaning. Maybe there'll be a resurgence at some age of what they actually mean and what they actually convey. But as we have seen in our study out here, as well as we see in chapter 18, as we see in chapter 2, Lord Krishna himself mentions that caste is not something that is based on birth, it is based on one's gunas and karmas. Chatu varnyam maya srishtam guna karma vibhagasha. Right? So here we're not talking about a social stamp of being a certain caste or a certain class, but one's actual qualities. So even if you were to give that a pandita, a wise person, sees equally a person who is evolved or a person who is well regarded, and even a person who is perhaps the most tamasic, right? Who's an outcast. So while a brahmana is regarded as one who is beyond the gunas, or who has reached the ultimate, the zenith of the gunas, he has attained trans sattva, and an outcast is someone who is not even qualified among the gunas, means extremely tamasic. Incidentally, here brahmana is given two qualities. What makes a real brahmana? Your surname doesn't make you a brahmana. What makes you a brahmana? If you have learning and humility. Just because you have read 10 more Upanishads doesn't make you a bigger brahmana. Huh? Dvivedi, Trivedi, Chaturvedi. If there was another Veda, we would have Panchavedi. Just because you have, see, a true Brahmana is humble. What is a Brahmana? A Brahmana is one who is Brihat Manaha, one with an expanded mind, one who has opened their mind to all the avenues of learning, one who has understood the vast mysteries of the world, and who has understood the essence of them. So one with an expanded mind is a Brahmana. It's not something that can be easily attained, and not certainly by just being born into a Brahmin family. Certainly not. Yeah, it gives you a certain advantage being born in a certain environment, no doubt about it. And of course, if you're born around, or if you grow up around a certain kind of people, you tend to absorb some of their virtues, no doubt about it. But that said, this process is not automatic, and your nature, your swabhava, is not wholly entirely determined by your environment, right? It's something that has to be cultivated, and it's cultivated through your efforts in the past and cultivated continuously through your efforts in the present. So to be a Brahmana is not easy. To be a true Brahmana is not easy. To have learning, true knowledge, to have true essence, understanding of the essence, and humility. What is humility? Humility is that voice in your head which says, perhaps there's more to learn. That's humility. A genuine voice, not what you say, Arey, I am no one, I have nothing, there's nothing, I have not done anything. You may pronounce it, but inside you're fishing for compliments. Humility is not a false, expression of humility. Humility is just that feeling within you. You don't have to express it necessarily. That feeling within you, that acknowledgement, maybe there's something more to learn. Keeping your shutters open. Realizing that ignorance is infinite and you have so much ground to cover. That's humility. So a Brahmana endowed with learning and humility, a cow, an elephant, a dog. What are these things? So while a Brahmana is at one extreme of the gunas, trans sattva, and an outcast is beyond the lowest of gunas, trans tamas, if one may say. These three animals in a way represent the gunas. A cow represents sattva, a dog represents rajas, an elephant represents tamas. One interpretation. Or you can also interpret it as a variety of animals and beings, regardless of their functions and their roles and their ferocity and etc. etc. The capacity to see everything equally, not have necessarily a preferential attachment to anything. That's Samadarshana. Nobody is Samadarshana. Huh? You go to the mall. Suppose you go to the mall in a small car. Hmm? See, there's a market near our house called Galleria. Okay. It's not pronounced Galleria, it's pronounced Galeria. So this happens all the time. You go in a small car and it's always busy. It's always busy. You go in a small car and there are a bunch of security guards and parking attendants standing there. They won't give you any attention. Huh? You go in a Mercedes. You see the attention you get out there. Sir, आपको parking करा देते हैं, sir. They'll make autos move, they'll make Uber drivers move away, they'll say special place, special place. I don't know, maybe they are expecting that someone's come in a big car and they'll give a big tip also. I don't know. But you see this all around. Forget parking attendants. You and me, our behavior changes depending on who's around. Suppose no one's at home, we are in our best behavior. Best means worst. We are in our worst behavior. When important people are around, we pretend to be the nicest. Sometimes I wonder what our staff must be joking about us in the back. Behind. So, do we have Samadarshana? Our behavior, our attitude, the way we look at people constantly changes, and we are always calculating who's worth it, who's not worth it. And we are calculating because we want something from them or we need something from them. It could be material or it could be beyond material. We want respect, we want adoration, whatever. So we're constantly calculating and our behavior is constantly changing and we see things differently, we view things differently because we always want something from the other. But a Jnani has no such pretense, a Jnani has no such expectation, a Jnani has no such need from the other. They view everyone equally. They recognize that beyond the gunas, beyond sattva, rajas, tamas, the best of persons is just a lot of sattva. A mediocre person is just a bundle of rajas. A backward person is just very tamasic, that's all it is. But beyond tamas, rajas, sattva, they are enlivened by the same Atman. The same Atman shines through and shines forth. That capacity to acknowledge that, the capacity to have genuine empathy for them. A tamasic person is a victim of their tamas. A rajasic person is a victim of their rajas. A sattvic person is blessed by their own sattva. That's all there is. If you can talk with crowds and keep your virtue, or walk with kings nor lose the common touch. If neither friends nor living foes can hurt you, if all men count with you but none too much, said Rudyard Kipling. Similar idea. If you can talk with crowds and keep your virtue, and walk with kings nor lose the common touch. So the capacity to see everything samadarshina. And it's primarily driven by not having any need or not having any expectation or not particularly wanting something from the other. When you don't want something from the other, you're able to cut away all the paraphernalia. Only when you're able to do that, only when you're able to remove the superficial layers of a person, are you able to have a true relationship with them. Otherwise, all our relationships are calculated and superficial. That's why friendship, and especially childhood friendship, is so special, right? Because before there was any layers and cloaks and layers of assumed identity, You befriended them, right? So over the years, no matter what got added, you're able to access that very primitive part of them. You're only able to do it with such childhood friends, if at all. So a wise person sees everyone through the same lens. No preferential attachment, no aversion. Sure, they may have a different treatment for different people. And not to say that they are unjust with one and just with the other. No, that's not what we're saying. A different treatment based on the appropriateness. Uh, with their wives, they will embrace. They won't embrace any random woman on the street. That's what I mean. So their treatment, the way in which they engage with them may not be equal, may not be the same. They'll do that based on what is appropriate, based on what is the circumstance. But to treat someone and to see someone is very different. So the wise view equally. Sama darshinaha, sama bhavane, not to treat them equally necessarily. You treat people according to the circumstance, according to what is appropriate. Now, there's no right answer to what is appropriate necessarily. But at least what is a common sort of, a bare minimum that you should, in your treatment with everyone, you should maintain is at least an acknowledgement and a basic dignity you should maintain with everyone. When we don't view equally, we even lose dignity. We give unnecessary glory to some people and we treat with disdain and almost contempt some people. That's a result of not viewing them equally, being calculative. When you treat equally, at least there is a basic dignity you afford the other person. Beyond that, it's a matter of circumstance and what is appropriate. So, beautiful quality of a wise person, Samadarshina. And he continues. Verse number 19. Ihaiva tairjita sargaha yesham samye sthitam manaha nirdosham hi samam brahma tasmad brahmani te sthitaha. Ihaiva tairjita sargaha yesham samye sthitam manaha nirdosham hi samam brahma tasmad brahmani te sthitaha. Even here, iha eva, even here, birth is overcome by those whose mind rests in evenness. Brahman is indeed spotless and equal, therefore they are established in Brahman. Even here means even in this lifetime, even in this form, even in this incarnation, even in this body. This verse is highlighting the philosophy of Jivan Mukti. Jivan Mukti means Mukti during this Jivan, during this lifetime, as opposed to the concept of Videha Mukti. So within Vedanta and within this tradition, Mukti being the ultimate goal, different sampradayas, different sects, different schools of thought have a slightly different interpretation of what is possible, what is not possible. Now, all those splitting hairs is not necessarily relevant for you and me at this stage. When we come to it, we can form our own opinions about it. But that being said, here is a verse where there is a clear indication that the Bhagavad Gita endorses the concept of Jivan Mukti. Jivan Mukti means liberation in this lifetime, as opposed to what's called Videha Mukti. Videha means when you cast out the Deha at death, liberation at death. So there is a school of thought which says that while living you can't be entirely liberated. Ultimate liberation is only attained upon death. Now, what is possible, what is not possible with regards to mukti, when we inch closer, we'll see it. Okay. When we inch closer, we'll see it. I don't know about you guys, I'm a little far away. Uh, so, I'm sure when I approach the end of the tunnel, I'll see some of the light. But that said, the Bhagavad Gita endorses, it seems to, appears to endorse Jivan Mukti. Even here, he says, birth is overcome by those whose mind rests in evenness. So, this evenness we're talking about, this samabhav we're talking about, this quality of a jnani we're talking about, those who attain that state of jnanam, those who attain that state of that essence of knowledge, such people are able to overcome birth. Birth means birth and death. Birth means the cycle of janmas, punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam. This cycle is overcome by those who attain this state, even here while living. Brahman, the spotless, nirdosham, beyond the doshas, beyond the gunas, and equal for all. Brahman in you is the same as Brahman in me. It's like saying water is one. We're all different fish swimming in water, but the water is the same. You may say sea water is salty, river water is fresh. Okay, but the water in sea water and the water in river water is the same. You've added some impurities, salt, or some other minerals, but that doesn't change the water. So Brahman is equal, the same in one and all. It's nirdosham, it's beyond the gunas. That Brahman is reached by you when you transcend your gunas. Right now, you're caught in the web of your gunas. And because you're largely rajasic, you're agitated, worried, stressed, everything is fine. But, and in our rajas, we believe, because although we are primarily rajasic, things are mota-moti good. So we believe we're all good. The other day I met someone and they confessed, and this is what is needed, people to speak the truth. They confessed, I'm not interested in liberation. Whatever Vedanta had to give me, it's given. I'm not interested in liberation right now. Fair enough. At least accept it. But I also had the thought that sometimes we need to be nudged to go beyond, right? Because when things are good, we become complacent. I'm not interested in liberation, this is only good. When things are hunky dory, when most of the things are working in our favor, we become spiritually complacent. Enlightenment is the urge for enlightenment. It's called mumukshatva. Mumukshatva is described as that feeling of urgency. It's like your house is on fire and you need to get out. The house is on fire and you need to get out. Ramakrishna Paramahamsa says mumukshatva is like that feeling, that urge to gasp for breath when you're drowning underwater. Imagine someone takes your head and puts it underwater. What is that feeling? You're gasping for breath, you're desperate, you'll do anything. That's the desire for liberation. Either you get it through knowledge or you get it through experience. Either you develop it through knowledge or you develop an urge for liberation through experience. And generally it is when things are shaken up that we are nudged to look for answers. It's just the truth that of the world we live in. So, to attain that state of Brahman beyond Sattva, Rajas, Tamas, right now being predominantly Rajasic, we are spiritually complacent. But as we grow towards sattva, we begin to see the light. But we have to cross even sattva. We have to cross tamas, rajas, sattva and attain that spotless state of Brahman, trans sattva, gunatita. It's called gunatita, beyond the gunas. So Brahman, that state of gunatita, beyond the gunas, that state of equality, one in all, samam, that is reached by those who overcome birth, having attained evenness. They are established in Brahman. So it's describing the state of that jnani who crosses the limitations of the three gunas, who goes beyond qualities, who goes beyond the good and the bad, who goes beyond the dualities, the polarities, the differences, who goes beyond good and bad and attains enlightenment. Such is the state we all are due to attain at the culmination of this journey. Verse number 20. न प्रहृष्येत् प्रियं प्राप्य नोद्विजेत् प्राप्य चाप्रियं स्थिरबुद्धिरसम्मूढः ब्रह्मविद् ब्राह्मणे स्थितः न प्रहृष्येत् प्रियं प्राप्य नोद्विजेत् प्राप्य चाप्रियं स्थिरबुद्धिरसम्मूढः ब्रह्मविद् ब्रह्मणे स्थितः. With steady intellect established in Brahman, the undeluded knower of Brahman neither rejoices on obtaining what is pleasant nor grieves on obtaining what is unpleasant. So he continues to describe a state of an enlightened person, such a person who has a steady intellect and is established in this highest awareness, one who is beyond delusion. Such a person neither rejoices on obtaining what is pleasant nor grieves on obtaining what is unpleasant. Yeah, you read this and you're like, what's the spice in life then? No maza. I don't want to reach this state of Brahman. Sounds very boring. Such a person doesn't get excited when good things happen. But you'll take the second half. You'll say, oh, I don't want to grieve when things are unpleasant. I want to be half a jnani. I don't want to grieve, but I want to rejoice. A jnani goes beyond the opposites. You grieve because you're attached. You rejoice because you're attached. Both are true. You grieve because you're attached, and what you're attached to is taken away from you, or what you are attached, the idea of what you're attached to is not attained. Either way, you lose what you have, or you don't achieve what you wished for. Both ways you grieve. Or you rejoice when something you really want, you're granted. Whether it's a degree, a promotion, a child, a partner, whatever it is, you rejoice. Till today, I'm told that when I was born, all of India got rasgullas. I don't know if you were given rasgullas, but apparently my family distributed rasgullas everywhere. You rejoice. So we put all our eggs in that basket. If it works out, we rejoice. If it doesn't, we grieve. This is the sin and madness of mankind. That doesn't mean a person who is a jnani is boring. There's a different joy in being a jnani. Imagine playing a game where the outcome doesn't quite matter. You take to life like a sport. It does matter and it doesn't matter at the same time. There's a thrill, but there's no pain. There's a thrill, but there's no undue importance. That's the state. That's the way in which a a Jnani lives in the world. Sure, they participate and they meander through success and failure, good and bad, joy and sorrow. But deep down, they are insulated. Sure, their minds go through emotions, but there's a voice deep inside which nudges them towards the deeper truth of life, which keeps them insulated. When you're able to access that deeper voice within you, when you're able to access that deeper truth within you, you will experience this. See, remember, we talk about this separation between you and your mind. We talk about the separation between you and your intellect. We talk about the separation, you talk about out of body experiences, right? A separation between you and your body. Whilst your body goes through a certain experience, you are sama. While your mind goes through a certain experience, you are sama, equanimous. It's possible. It's possible. And this is what he's trying to convey. It's not that such a person has no emotion or has no feeling. But whilst their body goes through a certain experience, whilst their mind goes through a certain experience, pleasant or unpleasant, they are sakshi. They are witnessing it from within. They go through the pleasant or the... See, what I'm trying to say is that there's no guarantee, okay, you grow spiritually and only good things will happen to you. No. Even when you're on this journey, you will encounter both the pleasant and the unpleasant. What we're saying is that you'll gain the capacity to not get carried away in rejoicing with what's pleasant, nor sinking to the depths of grief and sorrow when you experience the unpleasant. That's all. Your affectation reduces. You're not affected. No doubt, good things and bad things continue to happen. In fact, chances are life will throw bigger crises at you. Who has bigger crises? A normal person or a prime minister? Who has bigger crises? A peon or a CEO? So the more important the position, the more you grow, the bigger the crisis you have to handle, pleasant and unpleasant. The more dilemmas you have to be a part of. So you need this insulation, you need this objectivity, you need this sakshi bhava. Such a person is sakshi. So on the one hand, there is evenness, right? Samabhav. On the other hand, there is sakshi bhav. Two beautiful qualities of a jnani. Now, while this is perfected in a jnani, this is also something that grows in you as you grow spiritually. As you grow spiritually, you are beginning to see things more equally than before. There is less disparity. There is less preferential relationship. As you grow spiritually, there is more objectivity. There is less affectation, right? So it's not 0 or 100. It's not black or white. We're all moving through shades of gray, right? And we're getting clearer and clearer and clearer. Today you may be 100% affected, tomorrow you're 80% affected. As you grow less and less affected. So this sakshi bhav and this samabhav, they develop in a person over time. They are perfected in a jnani. This is the goal, this is also the path. A jnani is completely silent. But as you grow more and more silent. Silence is the goal, silence is also the path. Equanimity is the goal, equanimity is also the path. Objectivity is the goal, objectivity is also the path. Right? It's not something altogether different that you experience, one fine morning. No, this grows in you gradually, slowly. Verse number 21. Bhaya sparsheshva saktatma vindatyatmani yat sukham sabrahma yoga yuktatma sukhamakshayam ashnute. Bhaya sparsheshva saktatma Vindatyatmani yat sukham sabrahma yoga yuktatma sukhamakshayam ashnute. Verse number 21. Bahya sparsha, external contacts. Unattached to external contacts. Unattached to external contacts, one finds happiness that is in the self. Uniting oneself to Brahman by yoga, one attains eternal bliss. So, O human, look within. What you're looking for, what you're searching for, is to be found within. What you're looking for, ironically, we're all looking for the same thing. Ironically, a communist is looking for the same thing, a socialist is looking for the same thing, a capitalist is looking for the same thing, a rich person is looking for the same thing, a young person is looking for the same thing, a poor person is looking for the same thing, an old person is looking for the same thing, a child is looking for the same thing, an adult is looking for the same thing. Just what we are looking for it in changes. A child is looking for it in toys, an adult is looking for it in stocks. That's it. We just like to play riskier games as we grow. But what is true for 99.99% of us is that what we are looking for is external. What are we looking for? We're looking for that one thing, having gotten which we won't want anything else. Isn't it? Looking for the ultimate. Maza aa gaya. That's the experience we're chasing. Maza aa gaya. After I get that, I'll be done. That's what we're chasing. We're chasing that feeling of being done, one way or the other. Sure, we might romanticize it. No. I want to enjoy the journey. Okay. You enjoy the journey, but ultimately you want to get done. That's what you truly, deeply want, ultimately. Today you're enjoying the journey. 10 years later, you'll be like, I'm done. I'm tired of the journey. I just want to be done. It's like young people, they want a child. After 20 years, they're like, I'm done. बहुत हो गया. अब बस करो. So what we're looking for is that one thing, having attained which we won't want anything else. We want to be done. We want to be desireless. That's the irony. Our desire is to be desireless. However, we're looking for that feeling of desirelessness by chasing external things. Once I am well known and well regarded in society, I'll be done. That's also external. It's not internal, that's external. But the irony is, and the truth is, that you can only find it within. It's impossible, it's difficult to find happiness within oneself, but it's impossible to find it anywhere else. It's difficult to find happiness within oneself, but it's impossible to find it anywhere else. And you have to grow unattached, you have to grow detached from external things and ultimately find the source of happiness within you. That's the truth that Vedanta is trying to nudge you to. Unite yourself with your Atman. Unite yourself with this knowledge, little by little, through yoga. You'll attain deeper and deeper bliss. You'll gain deeper and deeper joy, deeper and deeper happiness. As you grow in your search for happiness, as you grow through material, external, to emotional, to intellectual, as you make your search for happiness also internal, the level of joy is far deeper and far greater, more pervasive. The deepest of emotional joys are incomprehensible compared to any kind of material joy. Isn't it? That's something you all have experienced. We all have experienced. That's something you all can vouch for. You wouldn't trade millions of dollars for some of the most beautiful, special, emotional moments in your life. Whatever they be with a child, with a partner, with a friend, with a whatever it is. That same principle holds for spiritual experiences. The deeper spiritual experience, in front of that, nothing else holds water. Nothing else holds water. So the deeper the experience, the more inner the experience, the more internal the experience, the deeper the bliss and the longer lasting the bliss. Ultimately, enlightenment is the deepest joy, and enlightenment is the most eternal bliss, means it's everlasting. Once you gain it, you don't lose it. But that's a journey you have to tread. It doesn't happen overnight. And it starts with growing detached. You have to grow detached by attaching yourself to this inner joy. The journey is within, it's not anywhere else. You're looking in the wrong place. Verse number 22. ये हि संस्पर्शजा भोगाः दुःखयोनय एव ते आद्यन्तवन्तः कौन्तेय न तेषु रमते बुधः ये हि संस्पर्शजा भोगाः दुःखयोनय एव ते आद्यन्तवन्तः कौन्तेय न तेषु रमते बुधः. So you must grow unattached, you must grow detached from external contacts. Why? Because life will teach you that enjoyments that are born of contacts, external contacts, are only wombs of sorrow. They have a beginning and an end. O Kaunteya, the wise do not rejoice in them. Who is a wise person? Either wise through experience or wise through knowledge. One who has understood that enjoyments born of sense contact, born of contact, are wombs of sorrow. If you can't memorize this verse, at least memorize this phrase. Dukkha yonayaha. Yoni means womb. Dukkha yonayaha. They are wombs of sorrow. The moment you're contacting something, you're sowing the seeds for an ultimate sorrow. Now, this may seem very pessimistic for the first time you're reading it, but it is the truth. The nature of the mind is to grow attached to whatever it contacts. That's all. We're not saying don't contact. We're saying beware the nature of the mind. Your mind, my mind, a sage's mind, a rich person's mind, a poor person's mind. It doesn't matter. For a rich person, they need $1 billion. For a poor person, they need $100. You get attached to it. No matter how rich or poor the person is, a child attaches every mother. Isn't it? And in that attachment, you are sowing the seeds of your sorrow. Why? Because what has a beginning has an end. If you learn this lesson early enough, you will shield yourself and you will go through life learning all the lessons you need to learn. But without this wisdom, it gets painful. And sometimes you step back and wonder, what's the point of it all? Why did you make me meet something if you had to separate me from it? We tend to get pessimistic. But you must learn, you must understand that everything is on their own journey. Everything is on its own path. And your path and their path crosses for a certain amount of time. Make that sojourn, make that intersection beautiful. That's all. That's all that you can do. If you live life with that awareness and that detachment, that intersection will be beautiful. that intersection will be lovely. There's nothing much more you can do. There's nothing more you need to do. There's nothing more you can do. What has come will go in whatever order. If your mind clings to it, you are setting yourself up for sorrow. That's it. That's all this verse is saying. The wise does not rejoice. That doesn't mean they don't have joy, but they don't allow themselves to be carried away. Deep inside, a voice tells them, mortal flesh must turn to clay. Deep inside them, a voice tells to them, mortal flesh must turn to clay. Now, this is not something you say it aloud. Huh? Don't go and tell your family members, today I learned in Vedanta class, mortal flesh must turn to clay. They'll say you're going mad. Huh? Deeply to your soul, softly to your soul, you must say, mortal flesh must turn to clay. Whether it is a person or anything, if it is wealth, any kind of external contact, any kind of external designation, it could be status, it could be name, it could be fame, it could be your position, a power, any kind of enjoyment born externally has a beginning and an end. The point is we don't recognize it, we don't acknowledge that. We're setting ourselves up for sorrow. So a wise person is not one who abstains from the world. Nahi, ye sab moh maya hai, ye sab bekar hai, ye sab. No, that's not a wise person. A wise person is one who lives in the din and roar of the marketplace, realizing this truth that everything has a beginning and an end. Let me make the journey beautiful. Let me make the intersection one worth remembering. But when things come and when things go, they're not in my hand. People long for years and years for a child. When things come, it's not in your hand. People long years and years for wealth. Warren Buffett got wealthy at the age of 60. When wealth comes, it's not in your hand. When wealth might go, it's not in your hand. Ma kuru dhana jana yauvana garvam harati nimeshat kalaha sarvam. In a moment, kalaha can take everything away from you. Don't be vain. Don't be vain about your health, your wealth, your family, your position, nothing. Appreciate it. Have an attitude of gratitude. Live with a spirit of service and sacrifice to everything that is around you. Have a deep appreciation for what you have been given and play your role to the best of your ability. Live life with that simplicity and you will be peaceful. And you'll make it a beautiful, beautiful journey. Otherwise, sorrow is growing in the womb.
So, but sorry, sir. So, but as we get attached, when we get attached, we get that there's a sense of responsibility also comes within it. Then that only nudges us to take care of that or be responsible for that or give us make us duty bound towards that.
No. When attachment comes, stupidity comes into the picture, not responsibility. When attachment comes, you start doing stupid things. I must send you to this class and that class and singing class and violin class and football class. Why? Because I have some images I have created. I want the child to become like this. You force them to study, you force them to do this, you force them to become. Madness starts when attachment comes. That's not responsibility. Responsibility comes from a sense of duty. Here is a role I have been given or taken up, and I must play my part to the best of my ability. It's simple. No attachment is needed out there. In fact, attachment dilutes your sense of responsibility. Attachment creates a sense of doership in your responsibility. Attachment creates an expectation of, oh, what will come out of this responsibility. So, look, I don't blame you. I'm not. Please don't get me wrong. This is the misconception that all of us are in. We believe that love, care, concern, responsibility comes out of attachment. It's the biggest misconception all of us hold. Attachment doesn't make us any more responsible. Attachment doesn't make us any more loving. Attachment doesn't make us any more caring. There is a deeper acknowledgement which we are not able to access within us. It's your conscience which creates that responsibility. Yes, this is my part, this is my role. But this conscience is cloaked by attachment. ये मेरा है. This mindness. So, when we remove attachment, then we'll see, na. You remove attachment and then see the nature of responsibility, how it transforms into a beautiful symphony. So it's not attachment. Okay, we'll conclude with that thought. I've spoken a lot. We've covered 5 verses, more than usual. But I'm happy to take up any questions, just like the previous one.
I think, sir, ये जो last 2-3 verse we are doing, if we just be able to digest this, it's going to really help all of us.
One of my favorite verses, I always remember this, Dukkha Yonaya. And it's not pessimistic. Otherwise, आप पढ़ोगे पहली बार सोचोगे क्या है? Samadarshina, not rejoicing in joy, not what sort of life is this? Dukkha Yoni. So if you this is the reason we have a class like this, because there come such verses which really challenge our understanding or which present something which is sort of confuses us almost. Dukkha Yoni. Yes, Ankit.
So, in the verse about seeing all people equally, all beings equally.
Sorry?
You spoke about, in the verse about seeing all people and all beings equally. The 18th verse.
Yeah.
So you spoke about so many of our relationships are based on transactional parameters, like a lot of people engage with you based on certain qualities that you possess or certain things which they hope to achieve or gain from you. So if you recognize that someone is engaging you and even has a implicit or like subconscious transactional motive to the engagement, can you really like engage with them at a very deep level, even though you yourself might not have like anything transactional which you are looking to gain from them?
No, you can't, because they're not interested in that. They're not interested in a deep connection with you, right? They want a transaction. So even if you may not want a transaction, but theek hai, that's what it is. And forget transaction, different people have different levels of depth. You may be at a deeper level and they may be more superficial, or you may be superficial, they may be more deeper, right? So you can't necessarily impose upon others your sort of level of functioning, right? Neither should you succumb to their level of functioning, both ways. But rarely, but certainly, you come across wonderful relationships, like with the person sitting next to you, and you have to make those deep. You have to make those count, right? So, I think When I was a child, I was given this nugget of wisdom that the number of close people in your life shouldn't cross the number of fingers in your hand. The number of people you regard close shouldn't cross the number of fingers in your hand, which means that it'll be rare, right? Don't take every fast friend to be, sure, you'll need relationships, you'll need transactional relationships, and there'll be everything. People of all sorts of, intentions and sort of expectations. So if another person is not interested in engaging with you deeply, then you can't. Yeah.
I mean, yeah. So you really can't, yeah, that answers the question. Thank you.
Yes, Anjum ji.
Yeah.
How is the weather in Seattle?
Rainy.
Rainy.
Oh,
Okay.
fall and winter are both here.
Well, you brought sunshine in your evening, hopefully.
Thank you. But looking forward to coming back to sunny weather.
Yes.
Duty and attachment. How do you, I mean, there is a fine line that kind of blends in between. When do you know that duty is leading into attachment, or attachment is actually your duty that you're having to do?
See, no doubt these are subtle things. So if it was easy to distinguish between the two, everyone would be a jnani, right? But the more evolved you are, the clearer the lines between the two. Okay. So you have to work on your own evolution to see the distinction between the two, right? That said, it's not that they are attachment is actually a cloak upon duty. Duty has its place. I have a certain role that I'm playing in life, and therefore, with that role comes certain responsibilities. Right? Attachment creates a veil of affectation, a veil of expectation upon that duty. Attachment also accentuates, or doesn't let us makes us lose our objectivity almost in that duty, right? Because it makes us believe that we can control or can change the other, right? Or in some ways, whereas it makes us almost feel as if we can control the situation ourselves. So these are all the things that attachment does.
Yeah.
So
Is it an expected? Sorry, go ahead.
no, go ahead. Tell me.
Is
what?
it when expectation comes into the play that you know that the shift is happening, or is that when a certain expectation, out of the duty that you're doing starts to develop, then do you think?
Yeah, look, see, first of all, any relationship is a symbiotic relationship. Means that you need some things and you're giving some things, right? They don't need to be related necessarily. It's not that, oh, I am doing this for you and so you need to give me. It's not like a transaction. But no doubt in any relationship, you need some things and you are giving certain things. So having expectations out of another person is not wrong necessarily, right? That's the reason you're in the relationship, right? That said, expectation linked to a certain duty is where it gets murky. Like they shouldn't necessarily, an expectation shouldn't necessarily follow a duty, right? But that's also where objectivity comes into the play. When you're playing a certain role and you're seeing that, okay, a certain thing is ineffective, or something that you're doing is not being reciprocated or attended to, or having any impact, sometimes you also have to take a back seat and let the other person sort of figure things out by themselves, you know and let them stumble. You have their back, right? So that's what I mean by detachment. That's what I mean by objectivity, right? um, so any relationship is beautiful when we give each other breathing room, when we give each other the space to learn, the space to make our own mistakes, right? Always having their best interest in mind, right? So sometimes duty is to also refrain from doing, you know taking a step back is also duty, you know so all of these things you will see and be able to digest and implement when you are detached. If you're attached, you'll feel like, oh, I have to do it all. I need to be in control. I need to change this. I am responsible for it. Those are the kinds of delusions that attachment brings with it, right? Does that make sense?
Thank you.
Yes, Rituji.
Uh, Utsavji, mumukshutvam, of course, it's an established, like you spoke about, the desire for liberation is the ultimate goal of a seeker. Uh, so like you said, I mean, if this is not the desire, then complacency in spirituality might seep in. So this is what I needed to sort of understand a little bit more, because even I always feel whenever this comes up, I don't know what is liberation, and I don't know, I've not seen that. I don't know what it would be, or rather, it is nothing, because it is, I feel it is shunya, maybe, if one says it like that. But the journey, if you have sattva, if you have sambhav, and those other uh, virtues of being a sattva, a sattvic person, then isn't that enough? I know, sir, that it is established that mumukshutvam should be the ultimate. But I still felt that if I could discuss that further, because I always for my own self, I'm very happy with the feeling of happiness that I get if I'm on that path. So,
So we're all spiritually complacent, speaker included. When seen from the vantage point of spirituality's ultimate destination, right? And there's no, um, we are speaking from a place of great privilege and great convenience today, right? And look, it's not about being good or bad, but like you rightly said, for me, I think I'm happy with XYZ, right? And no one's going to come to you and say, no, that's wrong, or that's not how it's supposed to be. To each their own, quite truly, right? But what you have to appreciate at some level, and what Vedanta nudges us to appreciate at some level, is that all the happiness we enjoy in life, all the happiness we feel in life, is conditional. Are you happy? Yes. By the grace of Bhagavad Gita, some of these lessons, I have become more objective. I am able to manage my family and my household and my business so well by the grace of the Lord. Hmm. I'm happy. When you say you're happy, let's start sort of, peeling through the layers. What is this happiness dependent on? This happiness is dependent on your family being healthy, for starters. This happiness is dependent on the global economy being stable. This happiness is dependent on the value of gold and the value of the US dollar and the value of all these things being at a certain level. This happiness is dependent on peace and prosperity around you. There's no civil strife. Any one of these things go wrong, what will happen? Your happiness will toss out of the window. You lose your objectivity. So, Vedanta only nudges us to acknowledge that our lives are actually fragile. Our lives are extremely fragile. Nalini dalagata jalamati taralam. Our life is like a drop of water trembling on a lotus leaf. Somehow we are dangling in there. We don't realize, we don't acknowledge. A small blood vessel ruptures in your body can cause a fatal incident for you. Some hormone going here and there and you'll have to be admitted to the asylum. We don't appreciate how fragile our lives are. We don't appreciate how conditioned our happiness is. That's all. The moment we acknowledge that, we'll grow from being, oh, I'm happy with this, to I don't know. Somehow it's working, but I don't know. Fingers crossed. And that thought is what nudges some of us to go even beyond. What's the point of all of this? I want to get to the bottom of this. Right? So, to each their own, but we must acknowledge how fragile our life is, and we must acknowledge how unique this opportunity to attain liberation is. And very honestly, truly, this is not a lecture to you, this is a lecture to myself. Right? Because it's a lesson each of us have to learn. Because all of this is in its own place, but as they say, this house is on fire, you have to run out of it. Right now, you and I are chilling in the living room. Look at my beautiful furniture. And I'm also appreciating it. Very nice. Very nice. The house is on fire. You have to run out. See, this is what is called as Krama Mukti. Krama Mukti, what happens is we grow a little bit and we become complacent. We grow in stages. Now, how long do we grow complacent for? For a day of Brahma. What is a day of Brahma? Millions and millions of years. Spiritual complacency is a feeling of satisfaction because of relative peace. And that complacency can last for ages, 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 ages. So if this lesson has come to you, if this lesson has come to me, we must be attentive, okay? It's pulling me out. Because God knows how long you've been complacent. God knows how long I've been complacent. So, that burning desire for liberation is something that we all must develop. And that alone will pull us out. Nothing else. Honestly, this is not a lecture to you. This is a lecture to myself. Okay. With that thought, we conclude today. Thank you so much. And
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
on Thursday. Hari Om.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hari Om.